Hello and welcome to a surprise, unscheduled, very ropey episode of the Talking Wednesday podcast.
We've never done an emergency pod.
No, the StreamYard branding in the bloody corner, Jake. It's so unlike us. We stopped paying for this, right?
I know.
We got because we were doing all the live podcasts are planned well in advance.
Yes,
but here we are.
I think the branding's quacking.
Yeah, what on?
I'm just trying to bring light to a very touchy situation, okay? God.
All right,
anyway,
fine.
Yes.
Darren Moore hasn't technically been sacked, but he's left by mutual consent, but it feels like a sacking. It is Dex joined by Jake and Jack. We've done this once today, Jake.
I know. I know. I only know I speak to in video format like once a week, and I've done it twice.
There's a podcast in the bank that has been done. Finished.
Edited.
Well, we're talking about players that, Darren Moore's pull's going to be really good to bring these players in. And then I've just literally spent my whole afternoon editing those breakouts and thinking, these are going to do really well.
You know what? Ironic for that. It just doesn't help. No.
You've both got, I've got a soundboard as well. I can go for it. I don't know what these buttons do.
But yeah, this is weird. The fact that I had to ring you and go, Darren Moore's sacked. It wasn't hello. It was a Darren Moore gone. You're like, what?
Well, I was like, it was 2 missed Facebook audio calls, and I went, I'm just in the shop. Are you okay? And then you called me again, and I was like, oh my God, is he dying? So I picked up, and then you obviously told me that. So now I will always remember that the moment Darren, it was like, where were you when Diana died? Where were you when Darren Moore left Sheffield Wednesday? I was in the bread aisle at Aldi picking up seeded brioche buns.
Nice.
So there's that. I don't know what to feel still. I've done a video on it. We came back. Sorry, I didn't join yours, Jake. I literally got through the door as you were saying, hey, I'm going to wrap up sort of thing. And I was like, don't wait for me. We will just do a Talking Wednesday later. But
I've just seen Andy's comment. Only one man for the job, Joss.
Oh God, because the thing is, we can't see that in the StreamYard chat, but he will have in the actual. Yeah. Oh God, he's got the members emojis, which means Joss is there.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh no.
Buddy.
But that's fine. I'm concerned. I feel like this is a step backwards. Like, these are just thoughts off the top of my head. I feel like this is a step backward for the club. We will interact with everybody in the comments at the minute, by the way. I am reading the chat. Thank you very much, guys, for being here at this time, especially a bit later than we've ever really done anything. But I do feel like it's a step backwards in terms of he'd finally got everybody on side, it felt like, and even the people who questioned him were being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they were all pally-pally this weekend, apparently.
But someone said, could that have been the dinner?
The goodbye dinner, the severance package dinner, etc.
Oh, God, he took him on a breakup date.
Yeah.
Yeah. But could have that been it?
Yeah, there's always the potential of that, but like, he was speaking. Have you watched the TalkSport stuff? He was speaking to TalkSport about the plans and getting a preseason and the recruitment plan. Right. Let's just go around. I've just fired off my initial thoughts. Jake, let's hear yours.
It's a massive blow, and I hope there's a plan in place. The one thing we've known with Chance, sometimes there isn't too much of a plan in place, but I think there will be. I'm in two minds. There's either a job come up and he said yes to it, but why would you go and do everything he's done, kind of thing in the media, or there's been a disagreement about a transfer budget or something of that nature, or it's a case of you got us up to the championship like you wanted or to, but the remit was always to go for champions, not by the playoffs.
That's so harsh if that's the truth, though, isn't it? Jack?
See, about a lot of things, I'm not a very sentimental person, so my mind's immediately now on the sort of like, well, it's happened. What the hell's next? You know? And I'm trying to think of reasoning that it could be. In my head, to logically understand it, maybe the plan. You know, do you remember not that long ago, they kept talking in the press about how there's a plan for if we're in League One next year, and if there's a plan for if we're in the Championship next year. What if part of the plan was a different manager or a different setup, and the entire thing of Darren Moore and his backroom staff was to get out of League One, and that was the entire sum total of their purpose at the club? Because
then why? What's the point?
Well, they were all they weren't staff. When you look at the staff that were brought in, like Rob Lee as the head of sports science and all that sort of thing, all the coaches, they were all just people that he'd worked with before. They weren't like this is going to be like our stalwart person in this position for the next 10 years. There was no talk of that, like there normally is when a coach is brought in to other clubs and all that sort of thing. It was all very just like, well, I've worked with him before. I know what they can do and I know what they can bring to the table, and that's it. There was no, it was all. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think maybe
I know what you're trying to say.
The longer term plan actually wasn't Darren Moore in a logical sense. It was just Darren Moore knows how to get out of that league or has experience or whatever. And that was the entire basis of the Championship plan, was to get a new person in that could take us up to the Premier League.
The problem is, though, it's just the timing of it. Why not do that? We'll do that after you let the initial thing die down. But why would you let him talk about promotion and talk about building and things like that? That's the only thing that sort of sticks in my mind. Chef Lad, £2 super chat, thank you very much, says, see him going to Barnsley if Duff departs. I'll leave the other bit out for monetization, but I could see that, to be fair. I think Darren Moore's probably better than Barnsley.
What about Leeds?
Here's Leeds. I don't think he's going. Here's the thing. We would not let him go. Surely we're not that badly. I don't care how Bezzy mates they are. You do not let a manager go. Mutual consent if he's going to another club. This is why I have to be convinced it's on our side.
Yeah.
That because if he's going to another club, why not just let them take him and give him compensation?
He's on a 12-month rolling contract.
But why would they say it as mutual consent unless it was just the terminology?
The thing is, you also read a bit of what Darren Moore said in his statement. It sounds like it was more of push than a mutual consent.
Andy says it might be a release clause for certain clubs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about him going to... I think people are just throwing the rumours out there. There's a lot of talk about him going to West Brom and stuff now. But, like, it is weird. I did question if we'd done the Ronaldo and City thing with United and we heard that Carlos might be going to Leeds and we went, no, we're not having that. And we might find out tomorrow that we've actually done it.
Yeah.
What would you feel if that was the situation? Let us know, chat, as well. Let's start with Jack. If it was announced tomorrow that Carlos was the Sheffield Wednesday manager going forward, replacing Darren Moore, what would you feel?
If it was accompanied by us signing or us announcing that Michael Edwards was coming in as the replacement to David Downs, then I'd be over the moon about it, because Carlos has obviously been able to be the head coach very successfully for us, but he also had this whole Glenn Roeder in the first Chance Series season where we got to the playoff final. It was Glenn Roeder that was making a lot of those decisions of who we signed, and then it was after that, the following season was when all those Doyen people, whatever else, all the controversial figures took over on judging who we get in. But if it's just Carlos, just like you say, is a knee-jerk thing to stop him going to Leeds or whatever other reason, then I think is a massive step backwards. And I can't see that being what Chancery does, because I don't think he's a person that will look back and see, although it wasn't necessarily a mistake because he got us to 2 playoff finals. A playoff final and a playoff semi-final. But sentimentality is something that we've just been too much... As a club, for decades, we've been relying too much on that. They tried hard in a Wednesday shirt. Let's give him another chance. Let's love this bang average player because he kissed the badge loads or something, you know? And I just don't think, I think we've outgrown that. I don't think our owner is that way inclined either. He's a very cutthroat businessman who's clearly been very successful in that way, and being that way inclined with his business ventures, not just us. So I just can't see it. I can't see Carlos unless there's a very good long-term figure coming in as a David Downs replacement.
Yeah, no, I can see that. Jake, what do you think on the Carlos front?
I would say it was a massive step backwards. I'm always the person that says you never go back. You never go back. Once they've done it, they've done. You don't go back to sentiment. You have to have new ideas. You can't keep going to the same well every time it doesn't go right and go, we'll go back to this and this will work. We've seen clubs that do it time and time again, and it doesn't end well. It doesn't. There's having a safe bet, and then there's having no forward thinking, no backup plan. You've just got look at the whole situation with Peterborough. They always go for Grant McCann or they go for Darren Ferguson. It's the same rolling people all the time. The thing is, I can't see Chansiri doing that. I really can't. I can see him going forward and going from there, but it's... The problem is we will probably never find out why this has happened, ever. Because Darren Moore's a nice guy, and I think a gentleman's agreement is a gentleman's agreement with Darren Moore. And I think Chansiri wouldn't put it out there well. It's just, I wouldn't go back to Carlos. Step backwards.
Yeah, it's a question, Oliver. I see it after Carlos's success in Europe. Do you really think he'd come back? I think he would, actually, yes. But I would slightly worry that we would go down that route out of... Because for me, I would have given Darren Moore a chance before that. Because I don't necessarily see taking a step back with a manager in that, so to speak. I think if you look on it in hindsight, you actually look at Carlos, obviously, the highest league positions of Wednesday. The question would be if Sheffield Wednesday and Chansiri, why am I saying it like that? If Chansiri is thinking of throwing the similar amount of money at it, but doing it a different way and backing Carlos maybe on the players he wants, or bringing a director of football in overcut that, because that's the thing that you said there, Jack. Carlos as a head coach with a director of football in on top, who's going to make the decisions, but a director of football that is actually decent and makes the right decisions this time. But again, I still come back to the fact of why wouldn't you give Darren Moore a chance in that scenario? Because I think what we have done now, and I think this is no matter what you think on the thing, this on the situation, this is fact. We've killed the momentum.
Yeah. Oh, it's dead.
The momentum is gone. What I don't like hearing is what I am hearing out of the club at the minute, that the players didn't know. And that they were sort of blindsided by this, and they are shocked.
That could be a big impact to what players want to do in the summer. Like that, you could have players going, you didn't let us know this was happening. We haven't found out. I want out.
It's very difficult when you think about how much Darren Moore was key in the mentality with these players and the togetherness. And the fact that, yes, we were always going to have a mini rebuild, but I did see him as the man to be the man behind that. And, all right, yes, we've heard... I'm live, I should be careful what I say. Takeovers are always a potential, right? But I don't think that's on the cards anymore, looking at the camera. So... I can see a few people talking about that. I don't think it's to do with that.
It's interesting that Dom Howson said, and I've seen this tweet as well, that's when we brought up, that Dom Howson said that Darren wanted 4 or 5 players in January and he didn't get them.
Well, that's what we
said that.
We kind of knew that as well. Yeah. It's been the thing that we said if we didn't go up, that was the key and the backing him there. And a quick question just to lighten the mood slightly. inconspicuous way to if you put certain liquids in a tea flask, it doesn't always have to be tea at 9:15 when you're going through a crisis and you're just about managing to keep it all together. So there we go, Sheffield Wednesday fans.
I was expecting this week to be making videos on potential signing, not potential manager.
Yes. It's just throwing everything out completely.
For the lads. How does Chansiri handle the fan forum tomorrow?
In one of those juggernaut suits from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. And
good timing wise, it's not great.
Well, I've seen the side of it where people have gone, oh, they must be, he must have had this in mind, which is why he called the fans forum in the first place.
That's what I think. That's honestly what I think. Yeah. I think there's going to be some sort of big, like, road. You know how, like, Kevin Feige at every Comic-Con has the big Marvel roadmap that he puts on the big screen, right?
Oh, God.
I just wonder if Chansiri is going to roll out this, like, roadmap about, we're actually doing this behind the scenes, and the whole, like, Disney Expo craps talk, whatever. And I can see that being something that happens, but as well, he can't skip over any questions that get asked his way, because then it'll turn very toxic and very kind of tetchy. If he's like, I'm not answering that, you know, like the last one that he did, he said, I'm not answering any football related questions. It's just for the match day experience, etc.
But he did
answer the questions, you know.
He did say even if there's negatives that he would answer them.
That was the highlight for me, actually, because we've done the podcast today, which is weird because this is episode 124, by the way. Episode 123 is still to come. Have fun in that when we're 100 episodes down and we go, what happened there? That's what happened. But I've still got to put that podcast up. It's like an hour and 50. It's a good podcast.
It's a great
Ruin
podcast.
everything.
Well, everything doesn't add up now.
But yeah, when we were talking about the fans forum, we were talking about the fact that he specifically highlighted the negativity in there. So it's almost as if there is a preempt there.
He knew there'd be
none of it sits right with me. I don't know if you're all feeling actually just that gut feeling. It just doesn't sit right.
The wording was positive or impartial or negative in a nature. All points will be welcomed and met with openness and transparency from the chairman.
Gut feelings.
There is a plan, because he wouldn't have allowed all of the backroom staff to go with him.
Right. You'll be happy because Jamie Smith's gone anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I've got one.
No offense, Jamie Smith, if you're watching this, no hard feelings, obviously, but I honestly don't think that he would have allowed the backroom staff to go with him if it was a knee-jerk thing. This was in the pipeline as part of their championship plan, I think. Because of how much they spoke about it. It can't have not been, you know? Anyway, sorry, yes, go on, Jay.
Go on, let's hear you out.
Chansiri said on TalkSport, I'm going to go for it, right? He said it a couple of times, right?
Yes.
Can you imagine if Chansiri got someone like Graham Potter, who technically doesn't need the money? He got 60 million from Chelsea. And he went, do you want to go build something?
Now, that is the one thing I could probably get quite excited by.
Yeah. Potter loves that sort of job. Yeah, that's why he became the Swansea manager, the Brighton manager. It's why he went off to bloody Norway to manage some proper obscure fallen on hard times team, and he just turned them round into like a giant in Norway, you know? It's the sort of job that like he'd love to do, I think. Graham Potter, I mean.
I've seen all sorts. I've seen Gerrard.
I know the answer mine is very far-fetched. I know it's really far-fetched and it's probably not going to happen. But Chansiri has said he wants to go that kind of way, of thing. That will be a way of saying, here's me going for it. I can't see it happening.
All right. Why don't we put Nagelsmann's just denied PSG, so why don't we even go there?
But like this rate. Graham Potter and Dean Smith have, like, for example, in the argument for Dean Smith, he also did captain Sheffield Wednesday when he was a player, I think. Did he?
Has he
Yes.
been? He was
played
only
for
interim
Wednesday, I
at
know that.
Everton, weren't he?
But
Leicester.
yes, Leicester.
Leicester. Yeah.
He was an interim at
Coming as
Leicester.
his number 2.
He is the one that made Brentford into what Brentford is.
I'd take
He's the
Dean
one
Smith.
that built the sustainable model. He's the architect of all of that. And, so him or Graham Potter, they fit the bill that Chancery wants to do. There's no one else really that does that.
I would actually take Dean Smith, actually. That's a good shout.
That's actually more plausible than mine. Mine was just well out of left field.
Andy says, I think we'd really struggle under Moore in the Championship, but if we struggle under someone new, then Chancery is going to get so much stick. That's the thing. It's, I think it was just a case of he's put such a target on his back more than ever now, because he was getting a lot of good faith, Chancery, with the fans. As I said in the video I did just after this news was announced, he's built up trust again. We're giving him the benefit of the doubt, but now he has literally painted a target on his back. So if this doesn't go well, it's all his fault, because he sacked a manager. Well, mutual consented a manager with momentum and the team behind him. So
can I just
would
put
he
an
put
idea
himself
as
in
well
that
out there
situation?
about
Go on,
because some people have mentioned the TalkSport thing, right? He never said I'm looking forward to getting players in. He said it's going to be interesting when the club gets players in, where the club is going. He never said he never gave something towards himself. He's talking about the vision, the overall vision. The club is bigger than me kind of mindset. There was nothing about like him directly saying, and Darren Moore's very good at this with the press as well, by the way, putting a certain spin on things. He's very, very good at that sort of thing. We've seen in interviews and all sorts when it's gone wrong in a match and he's managed to put a positive spin on it and not just in a, I'll shut up, get lost kind of way. He's actually genuinely put a bit of a, we learn from it, etc. spin on things. So it's not the first time he's said things in a way to diffuse it that could also be saying the club's got this grand vision that I'm excited to see unfold. That's the sum of what he said, not the club's got this grand vision that I've made, that I'm making, and that I'm signing the players and I'm going to do this. It was all just the club's vision, the club's this, that, and the other.
You know what I'm worried about?
I mean, you're reaching, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I know what you're saying, but
that is in the build-up.
That is a hell of a reach.
Taking like ownership of these signings, it was the club making the signings.
But he's always spoken like that.
Yeah,
he's always very much had the club as the bigger picture collective sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Regan's had it there, is what I was going to say as well. There's been this constant talk of there's a plan for League One, there's a plan for the Championship. The plan doesn't necessarily include him.
For God's sake, it doesn't make any sense though. Why would you? Why? I mean, that's communication.
He loves Wednesday.
Why would you? That's like commitment on another level. Oh yeah, the plans don't involve me. I'll be off. I'll get sacked, but you'll be fine.
The timing,
as much of a nice man he is, come on.
The timing doesn't make sense. If that was the case, you would have said straight after the playoff.
Exactly.
But my issue is that something has got to have gone off over since. Let's say since the, I want to say Sheffield City Hall. They've been talking, things have been happening. I am very interested to see what gets said at this fan forum and how honest he is and how that goes out. Yeah, we're throwing names at a dartboard and hoping it sticks at the minute. But the thing is, we got to think of this like, in a way that A, we're shocked, B, we don't know. And Chancery got to make sure this is right. If this doesn't work, that whole good faith it just happened goes. And the big one is, if players didn't know about this before, the morale of that squad is going to be crap.
Yeah.
You've got Patterson who just signed a new deal going, yeah, I'll stay here. You've got Marvin Johnson who's probably now going, what? Eh? Anyone who we may have been talking to already could be going, well, I wanted to work for Moore. Moore's not here right now. Bye. Remember when Stuart Gray quit? Couple of days, got same thing, got sacked. Kieran Lee was like, I'm looking forward to working with Stuart Gray. I'm looking forward to this. This isn't the first time DC done this at the club. He did it with Stuart Gray. And
he did. The reason I find it, it doesn't sit right with me this time is because he brought Darren Moore in himself.
Yeah.
And he paid Doncaster for him, didn't he? He literally bought Darren Moore to come in as the manager.
The reason I am annoyed about this, purely because I've had the best few weeks as a Wednesday fan that I've had in years, possibly ever.
The positivity's been lovely, hasn't it?
I've not really known what to do with myself because I'm not used to us actually being all right and doing miraculous things. Like, you think about it, Jack, like the vlog, the journey that we went, all of that, it just seems like gone by in a blur, and gave us these moments that is going to be memories for years. And I have got the thing in my mind now, like meeting people in this community around these moments at Wembley, meeting people I'd never met in person before, like seeing so many people from this community, giving us an opportunity to all have a massive day out, no matter where everybody got together at Wembley. Mm. And Darren Moore gave us that with this team. And it's one of those, I'm really going to struggle with that, especially if we balls this up, basically, because it's one of those that you'll look back on and you'll go, we were onto something there.
You know what the thing is?
They did the thing with the 90s start. I know that's a bit different thing, when they got promoted and they just dismantled it. And I can't speak too much on that one, but I do remember everybody saying that kind of like was where the wheels started to fall off.
So you know how people are saying takeover, right? A takeover takes about 3 months. Normally for a takeover to go through, unless it's drastic, like the Wigan thing, it needed to be done. A takeover can take a long time. Our club, and this is going to sound really bad, but our club sing Get Out. And I think a takeover would have been talked about a little bit sooner. I get people saying maybe it's the it could be the massive rug pull from underneath of Chancellor going, hi, new owners are coming in. These are your new owners at the fan forum. Say hello to them. Similar to what Mandarin did, but instead of a press conference. These are your new owners. Thank you for the journey. They're going to tell you about what's happened. See you later.
It is Kevin Feige like Comic Con roadmap presentation. By the way, these are the people that are taking us over.
But as Andy says, you don't sack a manager before a takeover. You come in and then the new owners can sack the manager.
Yeah, exactly. That's the bit that doesn't make sense when people saying takeover. You let them do it. You wouldn't do it yourself.
And if there was a takeover coming, it would have been on Company's House 3 months ago, because that's the legal requirement, isn't it?
Yeah, they need to like register as a company if they're doing it, and also you also got to think if a deal is going to be done. Our deal would be so complicated because you've got to throw a stadium in that as well.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I know they're trying to do it early, right, in the window, but this isn't early enough for me because this is where, like, don't people usually come back for pre-season at, like, start of July?
We are back in pre-season 29th of June.
In 10 days.
We have 14 senior squad players. We have no head of recruitment, and we have no 13 staff or coach. And the season starts in 47 days.
The league is going, innit? No staff, no players. All of them are going to leave.
And the season starts in 47 days, and we find out who our first opponents are on Thursday. And right now, we really couldn't give a monkeys.
We all say this, and then we hear tomorrow that the Celtic deal with Brendan Rodgers has fallen through, and Brendan Rodgers has stood next to Chansiri at the fans forum.
No.
You've been saying that for ages, haven't you?
I was saying this to Jake privately, and he shouted at me for it. He absolutely leathered me for it.
I did.
Saying no, it won't happen. They won't snub the external fans. They won't snub the press for this. But I'm seriously thinking, could he just not go? Oh, by the way, special treat for all of you here at the fans forum tonight. This is our new manager.
The problem is I can't see that going down well with the rest of the fan base because the rest of the fan base will be pissed.
But if that happened, they could just do the announcement thing that they've already prepared and put that out during the time that the fans forum is going on. They have staff on the media team, Jake.
The less we talk about our media team, the better.
That's too hot. Jesus
Sorry.
Christ! All right, Jake. That's too.
Irate.
That's
They're
too
getting irate.
That's too Hollywood, right?
The only reason why I'm saying about the media team, that's a lot of planning for something that just happened. You would have had
Maybe
to
it was
have
in the plan, as I've said. Maybe all of this was planned. I'm literally looking like the guy. Is it Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or is it?
Yeah,
it's Parks and Rec. That's got the conspiracy theory billboard thing.
I just don't see that feels too planned, and it doesn't feel planned. Does that make sense?
This is you speaking on your past trauma from Sheffield Wednesday, though, isn't it?
Yeah, give us the old man perspective, Jake. Come on,
there you go. Give us the old man perspective, Jake. Come on.
The problem is this is way too. That would be way too planned for it to happen, and you probably would have actually had it done Friday instead of Monday, then the fan forum on Tuesday. That gives you a weekend to plan it all out and go. You got the person in. Blah 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 blah. Here's your new guy. Done. Monday gives you a less than 24 hours. I'm thinking planning and logistics. It doesn't sound like something that's just been planned.
Absolute scenes when it's ban and player manager, though, as has been said. Comes out and his daughter's like his head of staff or something. just fully just lead into the pantomime of Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm only going this mental, by the way, because I just can't handle the thought of we've just sacked him for no reason. There's no plan. It's just vibes.
You've still got optimism. That's what you've got, Jack.
I just can't deal with it. I can't deal with there not being a plan.
Yeah, why are we trying to be optimistic about this? When have Sheffield Wednesday ever shown us that anything has ever been planned?
My big thing, though, with this, there needs to be a new manager by the end of the week.
Yes. God, yes. It That's
we can't have the Chancery waiting a while for candidates and then interview them. We need it done by Friday.
I think it needs to be. I'm actually annoyed that if this is a mutual consent thing and it's the thing that we've been planning this for a while, it should have been done and announced immediately after.
You mean a la Bournemouth?
Yeah.
I do like how Bournemouth went, this is mental. All the people went, this is absolutely mental. What have you done? And they went, hold my beer.
Hold my beer.
It's one of those things, though. I guess the only other reason I could see we didn't do it like that is you give Darren Moore his send-off time.
Yeah.
And you don't go, oh, we're just going to replace him. We're going to give him time to... He gets his statement out. Oh, that statement was... I was actually reading it going, oh...
Yeah, same.
He's a Wednesday fan for life now. You can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if he goes to Barnsley, it's just going to ruin him.
Go to Leeds.
Poor bloke. He'll have to entertain him. Yeah. Why? The thing is, though, why would he go to Leeds? Why? That'd be a big project at Leeds. Maybe... do you know what? If he does go to Leeds...
He's taken over as well, so the money to spend.
If he does go to Leeds, you could potentially take a slightly different view on him because you'd be like,
I don't see it. Like
I don't want to see it.
I don't know where they put us now because we are already technically 3 weeks behind everyone else. That's what a playoff does to you. It puts you 3 weeks behind everyone planning for the season. So we're now 3 weeks behind. We're looking for a manager. We are looking for a new head of recruitment. We've got 14 senior players, 2 players off a contract, and we don't know if either one of them are signing it, and no 13 backroom staff or manager. And are we going down the route of manager or head coach? Those 2 words are important.
You could have stopped that sentence after, are we going down? If you want to be really negative. Like, a club, you've just got promoted, you need some stability and you need to stabilise the ship. My thing is, I think Chancery is just going to chuck money at it again.
I'm worried about that.
And that slightly excites me, but actually in my core terrifies me.
Yeah, ditto.
He possibly knows where he should be chucking it now, though, and that he shouldn't be chucking as much at one basket. Like, I can't see us having a Jordan Rhodes situation again, but I can see us having a 3 million for Forestieri, 3 million for Ross Wallace, however much for like Gary Hooper, that sort of thing. Yes.
The problem is I can see us having a Joss Luakai situation again, a manager that we're like, what? That will anger me no end. If we don't, you can't do this and not have an experienced manager come in.
You can't do this without having someone planned, ready to go, can you?
No.
If he thinks, oh, somebody's done it in, in one of the foreign leagues and they've done all right there, let's try him here. And I think it's because he got lucky with Carlos, and Carlos turned out to be a bit of a gem.
Yeah.
Then when he tried it again, but you can't go back. You can't give us another Joss. I can't do it.
We can't have another Joss. I don't think we can have another Carlos coming back.
Gary Monk.
Well, there's Andy unsubscribing.
Or are we gonna? God, I don't believe I'm saying this, but are we gonna go down the route of what Leicester and Ipswich have done and go somebody who's been a coach at a big club and then get the first manager job?
Or Vardy play a manager.
Yeah, that'll go down well. Right, lad, we're training it straight down to the Weatherspoon for some pints.
Right, lads, hydration. Here's your Red Bull. Don't even say Dean Smith. Kieran. That was even worse than the Monk comment. Tony Pulis. Oh, shudder.
I'm nervous. I'm slightly worried, but I'm also strangely excited what comes in, but that also terrifies me at the same time.
Yeah, I've seen this a few times. Andrew says here, Michael Duff. Like, what? No.
He wouldn't come to us anyway.
I wouldn't want him.
With how much he was crying to the press after we beat them in the final, he wouldn't come to us.
I wouldn't want him in regards to the fact that he had a team that bottled the playoff final that they should technically. We beat them in. That's a step back for me.
A deal is all done.
What, for Swansea and him?
Yeah, apparently a deal is already agreed or something. But who knows? Who knows? Because
fair play. He's going from one small club to another one. Sorry,
you had to get that one in. Yeah. It's all right, mate. It's past the watershed. We'll just let everybody swear at you.
Yeah.
Izzy Brown, player manager. Come on, Charlie. If we're gonna have great, don't promise. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Ryan Lowe. I can see that.
Corner trading would be fantastic. Ryan Lowe.
I can see that.
Are we in League One still, boys? Because that sounds quite what we were talking about in League One.
No, but he made Preston mid-table and steadied them a little bit.
And brings Story with him.
Yeah.
And basically, Plymouth's entire success was down to him this season anyway.
Oh, God.
What?
Gerrard's just denied the Saudi League. It's Gerrard, innit?
He won't come to Wednesday.
He won't come to Wednesday because of a certain event that happened that...
Oh, yeah, good point. Yeah,
he wouldn't do it.
What about Lampard?
The algorithm.
I'm not bringing that into it, but no.
What about Lampard?
God, no, not
he overspends. No. He's just like his sodding uncle. He overspends.
Yep.
Stop saying much. Big Sam. I do not want Big Sam.
No,
not
Big Sam.
No,
Paul Ward is staying put.
He's staying
he's not better than Darren Moore.
No, he's not.
He's not.
This is what's annoying me. Is
the thing is, whoever comes in needs to be better than Darren Moore.
Rooney, no. Darren Moore's better than Rooney for me.
Yeah, I'm firmly in the Dean Smith camp or in the what do you call him? Graham Potter. I'm in those two camps.
It sounds daft. I know it's got to be another daft one. I know it sounds daft, but he does we've seen.
Careful, Jake. Daft's going to become the new Superb.
Yeah, shut up.
Sorry.
He's he done out the box thinking before, like with managers, right? With Joss.
Mm.
Ruben Nistelrooy. He'd out of a job, but it wouldn't happen.
I hate this so much.
Yep. This is not what I wanted the summer to be. There was a plan, James. A very clear plan.
Rob says Chancery owner, player manager. Go on, play every position.
Chancery?
Attia's recruitment.
Oh, God. I am I'm going to dismantle all this setup and take it back with me because I'm working this week.
Just to put another little positive spin as well, right? This is not toxic. No. Listen, Jake, listen, right? God. This is not toxic positivity in any way, shape, or form. But Darren Moore doing that and putting us on the world stage like he did for us to have that comeback and then win at Wembley has done us the world of good in terms of I want to carry that on. In the minds of managers.
I reckon Zidane was watching, and that's where we're going with that.
Oh, you know what I'm trying to say.
I know. I actually know what you're saying.
That does make sense. It does,
the one,
like,
the one thing is, Sheffield Wednesday with that have now had that refresh into the zeitgeist, so to speak.
Yeah.
So everybody remembered. Oh yeah, Sheffield Wednesday. Look at that fan base.
Exactly.
There was that.
Part of that.
And if you're looking at it from a positive perspective, there is that side of it in the fact that if you were to ever replace a manager and bigger names were involved, they see that fan base, they see a project, there is a project there.
Yeah.
It would involve lowering the season ticket prices, Chancery, so Hillsborough can get like that every week, but that's another conversation. We'll see if we can sort a manager first, shall we? Everybody's saying Pep. What? Like that's the level of insanity we've got to now. I've seen the Cowleys mentioned in the chat. I would not
Absolutely
go for them. Absolutely not.
Absolutely not go for Megson. I think that's so bad. We were talking about backwards thinking. That is like deciding to get one of the old box TVs from the 90s and say, yes, I prefer this over a 4K curved OLED 57-inch screen or whatever.
Though? I think Dean Smith is a good shout.
Yes, Dean Smith.
Do you know the weird one I've seen here, which I don't think
he'd do it as well? What?
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
No,
not
for me.
I think he'd be a good manager, to be fair, because if you actually look at him, if you zoom out on Man United, he weren't too bad.
It's a gamble because it's like a will he be able to do it or won't he? I feel like there's a bit of that as well.
Can you imagine if we got Carlos back and we actually sacked him on Christmas again?
The one I saw earlier, I was like, God, no, Jesse Marsh.
No.
Hell no.
Oh, no, please. No, thank you.
Oh,
I know he said no, please.
That's a manager I haven't thought of that might apply for it. Got Parker.
Park Life.
Oh.
He got Bournemouth up and he only left because they wouldn't support him.
Well?
Yes.
Right, but the problem I've got with Scott Parker is he speaks like every account manager trying to sell you something in like one of them them suits that's a little bit off peg suits that the tie's not quite right, and he comes up and he's got that typical I'm going to sell you something voice, and I'd have to listen to that every week. So for that reason, I'm not going for Scott Parker.
Are you out, Alan?
Speaking of Alan, though, by the way, Alan Shearer was mentioned in the chat. Jesus Christ, it's going off the rails.
Watford managers available.
Which one?
Jordan.
Which one?
Read what Jordan said.
Slaven Bilic.
Yeah, potentially.
But he's reportedly too much of a nice guy. Like he lets players walk all over him with demands and all that sort of stuff. So do we want the manager like that?
But everybody's just said that Darren Moore is too much of a nice guy.
Yeah.
I'd have Slaven Bilic, though. It's when you say Watford manager, it's like, okay, so the list from this year is quite long.
Let me just get the list out.
You go through the rolling door, don't you?
Yeah, you're just scrolling an endless piece of paper out.
Some people are making inappropriate jokes.
Oh yes, nice.
Right.
Some are quite funny, but in fairness,
Are we thinking, right, lads? Are we thinking that we are doing another emergency pod at the end of the week to go? We got a new manager. Yes or no?
I'm taking all my gear with me for work this week because there's no chance that something doesn't kick off tomorrow. And we need to be on it. We're probably going to be here a lot of the time. By the way, thank you for the amount of viewership and the amount of engagement we're getting on this podcast. Yeah. This is probably like the best live podcast we've ever done, and it's such a tragic situation. So, Andy says Bilic is significantly better than Moore. Maybe that is the shout that none of us thought of until brought into the chat. But it would be Dean Smith is up there for me as well. I don't think it'll be Bielsa. Isn't Bielsa linked with a national team?
Is it linked with Argentina?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want Graham Potter or Dean Smith. That's my top of the list people that I want.
I think here's the thing, right? Potter. And I know you can talk deluded Wednesday fans in that. I think it has to be something big.
Gotta be.
It has to be. Because you can't do this and it not be something big.
Exactly.
It got to be something either out of left field and insane or something stupidly big. And you don't see where it's coming from.
It will be one of the situations where if I am sat there tomorrow and he's giving us the crap about, oh, well, it came out of left field. We feel like we need to, if we get a feeling that he's not got a plan in place, I don't think I'll ever feel as dejected.
I'll be very, 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 very worried.
I want us to sign a manager that will give me the same feeling I got when we announced that we got Steve Bruce as our manager. And I know that's a controversial name to throw out, but before all the drama, right? When we signed Steve Bruce,
it was a big thing.
I remember just feeling like this is it. We're going up. This is it. That was the feeling I got when we signed him as our championship manager.
I like Riley. Wait, Darren's left.
Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, mate, if you blink, you miss it today. I actually thought Jake was having a medical crisis or something because Jake never calls me ever.
Tell my wife I love her.
I'll be honest as well. I had to rush my tea because we were specifically buying we were going to make these really nice burgers, right? Yeah. Talking Wednesday podcast, doing what Talking Wednesday podcast does best, tangents. And it was so I was picking out the bun when you called me. So then we got back, and I was going to make them, and Soph made them, and she made them wonderfully. But because I needed to get everything done, I had to eat them quickly, and I couldn't just sit and savor them while watching England put 10 goals past some farmers.
It was funny though. The end of the phone call, you went, "Oh, really? Shit."
Yeah,
that was your end of the phone call. Was oh, really? Shit.
Language warning.
Yeah, probably.
We are past the watershed. I apologise, audio listeners. I'm gonna have to tag this one as explicit or edit it, and I think I'll just tag it as explicit instead. But Charlie says, "What's allowed in the forum?" Basically, he says he's open to negativity. Are you sure?
Yeah, I think. Oh no, who's allowed in the forum? Is anybody with a ticket, Charlie?
Oh, who's allowed in the forum?
There's no set people.
ID. It was ID tickets.
It was
as well.
Anybody that's anybody that's 18 and over, because I'm assuming they will be serving alcohol. In that case,
it'll be sold out now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, don't get me wrong. I've put a sarcastic tweet. I replied to the thing where they posted it and going, "Hello, just wondering if any tickets to this are still available."
Ooh, edgy. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. All right. It's okay. Does anybody want to take the third slot on this podcast? Because all of a sudden we've got a small child with us. What have you done to your face taking that beard off?
Look, it got too hot, and I got fed up of feeling like my face.
It suits you, to be fair.
Yeah, the Mediterranean shadow does tend to suit my face very well.
Sake.
I just need to lose weight. I'm so fat. I need to lose weight. It's a joke, but
Punkers player manager has been said in the chat.
No. Can you imagine if they do the light show? I'll be done.
I'll be your number 2, Jake. I'll be your assistant manager that just does everything, and you just be Dave Jones.
You'll be my translator because I can't speak.
Yeah.
You'll be my Bielsa translator.
Bielsa. I'll be your Bielsa's translator and Paul Wilkinson, because you'll never be able to properly interact with the team because of all the flashing lights in the changing rooms. So they won't even know who you are.
He's an epileptic for new time viewers, by the way.
Yes.
Will there be a live feed of the fans forum? No.
No.
Please, somebody who is going. I nearly went as well, but I decided to work. Silly me needing money to buy things and live. But I hope somebody who goes live streams it.
Mm.
Because usually the journalists go and they do notes on it, but it would be nice to actually have a live feed of it. However, if they are announced that it will be televised, then I can guarantee you we're announcing a manager.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's been nothing. What gets me is the fact that we ended the statement with there will be no further comment at this time. And I know that's a typical thing to say in these situations, but it's a little bit.
But also the search for manager will now commence. It's like, so you haven't been looking? If this is something that hasn't come out of the blue, the process to appoint a new manager is now underway. If there was a new manager,
clubs always say that though. Will now commence, even if it's already commenced. They'll say that anyway because they don't want to give away their internal workings, if you like.
Some more names being mentioned by the chat. Phil Neville, because obviously he was sacked by Inter Miami. Not for me.
No.
Roy Keane. Again, not for me.
Not for me.
No.
He's been linked with us before quite a few times.
The thing is, with Bournemouth, they had a plan. Appointment of a new head coach will be announced imminently. That they had it already lined up. The fact that we said we'll start the search for a new manager said to me, maybe we haven't had, this isn't planned. This is something that just happened. I'm just thinking wording.
Yeah, I do want to read Dom's tweet out actually, because I know you said the thing about the 5 players, but it's the way he said it. No, I've got it. He said, so Dom House on Twitter said, if you don't know, journalist for Examiner Live said, just heard about Darren Moore's Wednesday departure. Is it a total shock? Can't say it is to me. Led to believe he wasn't happy at the club's lack of transfer business in January, wanted 4 to 5 new players. He was allowed to sign a brand new 11 last summer. Big call for DC now. We had also heard that he wasn't very happy and that the transfer situation wasn't ideal and that there wasn't a backing there. The reason we heard there wasn't a backing there is because there was... Again, we're live. I want people to talk to me still. It's like there's a situation where if we're going to have money now, we kind of had to just deal with it at the time and hope for the best kind of thing. But also something that might have happened to Wednesday doesn't look like it's happening anymore. So I'm very confused, Jake.
Yeah, ditto. I'm everything now just doesn't line up at all. It's all gone backwards. We heard that there was a couple of players he wanted and he never got them. And it was kind of that whole thing. Like I said, I wonder if he felt like he did when he was at Donny. Got money to spend, but not allowed to spend it because he's already put a whole squad back together. And maybe they've gone like, look, I've got you up now. What I'm allowed to spend? It's like, well, you've spent it already in League One, and I think it might be time for you to move on. What do you think? That could have been the conversation.
It could have been. I think it's a situation where he's turned around and gone. At the end, I think we've done this. The only thing that I think that he left is Darren Moore wants to take it in one way with a certain recruitment philosophy, and Chansiri wants to do it a different way. That's probably the nicest way I can think of it happening. Darren Moore wants to go for a certain type of player. Chansiri wants to go for maybe more of an aggressive tack and go for it now.
Yeah.
Do you think he's not got the patience anymore? He thinks we've been too far behind for too long, and now we need to kick on and fire ourselves as close to the Premier League as possible because we've languished too far down. He doesn't want to do the whole slow build thing. He feels like we just need to go for it.
Yeah, but that worries me. Because that means would he go back to old ways? That's what I mean. Because he had tried that in the past, and I don't think he's stupid enough to get burnt twice, but going for it, I always think it's better if you're coming up, you go with the base, you go with the thing, you get established in the championship, and then you have another season after that while after you're established to then go for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think a lot of it actually, and the more we talk, it all comes back to why not have just give him a chance? And that's the big thing that I'm really struggling with. Why not give him a chance? Would we all probably possibly agree he deserved a chance?
Yes.
What if another manager? What if, say, a Graham Potter has approached him and said, like, I'd be interested if you're ever without a manager because I don't need the money. As opposed to Chansiri, I mean.
Honestly, then that is the only thing that would get me excited about this situation. Because there's a fickleness in it when you see the club having the opportunity to step up to the next level. And do you know what? If that was the case and Darren Moore knew about that, I would have even more respect for him. That is the best case scenario, right? That we find out this week that someone like Graham Potter's coming into the club and Darren Moore steps aside.
Because he says that he can get you there sooner than I can, kind of thing. Yeah.
But that, it does to me feel like that me even suggesting something like that is sentiment based. That's not how football works usually. Jake?
If it just feels so, it feels so Wednesday actually, but it feels like he got to have a plan. They've got to have a plan. Tomorrow, if whatever comes out, I need to hear a solid plan come out of Chansiri's mouth, or I ain't going to be able to I will back it, but I won't be able to go with the backing fully. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When there's someone there.
I do. I know. I get what Andy's saying here. Moore deserved a chance, but I'm 95% sure we'd have struggled. I feel like at the minute, we've got that. Now, forever, we're going to have that. Well, we're never going to know. Okay? Because we're never going to know what would have happened with Moore. But because of what happened with the comeback and things like that, I remember, Jack, when I first brought you onto this podcast for your first episode just with me, and you said you thought Darren Moore was the manager to take you to the Premier League. And you still said that quite recently. Take Wes to the Premier League. It's one of those where I was willing to give him the chance, and then if it had gone bad, managerial appointments usually go bad. I guess the one positive is that this will never go bad now. Darren Moore came in and had a fantastic tenure with us. And that's a bit weird. Does anybody else find that really weird?
Yep. It's strange.
But yes, I will wrap this up in a second.
Like on these terms, that he's cemented himself as like a heroic Wednesday figure now forever, unless he comes back and just does an awful job and whatever. But he won't do that. But what I will do while we've got so many people in the audience, I will throw some topics at us, and then we will wrap this up because I told these boys I'd only take half an hour of their time up. And then we started talking, and that's what happens when there's three of us. But yeah, feel free to throw some topics at us and things you'd like us to talk about on that front. It can obviously be related to the Moore stuff or something a little bit wider on that field. We'll read them and yes, Nigel.
Sort of come towards the end.
I agree with Nigel a little bit. Maybe that's why he didn't give Moore the things because he.
So for the audio listeners, Nigel said, "I think DC is not giving him much funds in January." Was a clue. I think there is a plan.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, there was a specific reasoning behind that as well, and it had to do with that two-plan mentality.
Tom's limited promise youth we've had.
Please don't read that word.
Elixir momentum gone. All players bought in project with fans. Reece James was about to sign permanent from his loan. I can't see that happening now. No, I can't.
No, I can't see the players. I can't see players like Reece James in that coming in now.
What does this do to the list, though? Because we don't have a head of recruitment.
Ogbene, Regan Poole, those sort of players that you were talking about, even Twanzebe and stuff today, weren't you? Like, like players that would have worked well under the Moore mentality, and it's completely changed the dynamic there.
We're 3 weeks behind already.
Yep. Martin says, for me, it's less the manager himself. It's more about the timing and the damage it will do the players and the feel-good factor of the fans. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's putting us further behind. That's the problem. Joe says he got us back up to where he found us. He did, but I feel like he deserved the chance to get us further still. Kieran says, I've not got a topic. Get some Snickers. Okay. Given Jake's mood, he probably needs one sometimes. Philip says, why would Potter or any decent manager come to us? We have no structure in place at the club at all. It's hard to argue, but it's also a case of why would we do this in that situation? Because we had a good manager.
They were building
I'll just say this, right? Dean Smith, he went to Brentford and they didn't have a structure. He built the structure and made them one of the most sustainable clubs in the game in English football. And same goes with Graham Potter. Swansea, when he was their manager, they were in chaos. They were absolutely in chaos, and he built their structure. Yes, they're like sitting mid-table-ish in the Championship, but that's because that's good for them because of the shape they were in. Brighton, they were in turmoil. They didn't have a structure. They were in chaos, and he built the structure there. That's why it didn't work at Chelsea, because they didn't let him build the structure of the club. They just went over his head all the time. That's why the Chelsea thing didn't work out for him, because they wouldn't let him do that. But Wednesday is the ideal sort of scenario for both of those managers where they can build something. That's their entire vision of being a manager, is building a club, structure and everything, not just turning up. I don't disagree.
Either of those managers I'm happy with. If we heard about either of those managers, that'd be the ideal situation for me. Mr. J saying, was losing the head of recruitment and more sacking linked? In my opinion, no. I think it was a case of a director of football position came up for the head of recruitment there. You could look further into it now. Jake, do you think there's anything further in that? Because I'm still not sure on that, really.
I still think that was already kind of the whole situation. I can't say that be a situation. I think Darren kind of said a couple of weeks ago, anything to happen with recruitment now, come to me. He was already planning for that. He'd already turned around and gone, I'm ready for this now. Like that, crack on.
Jackson's animation says, Andres Iniesta's player manager left field, perhaps we'll get us some play in Barca tiki-taka. Well, we have got Barry Bannon, and we both know it's suited style of play. Student Bob says, what's happening with these roadworks around Hillsborough? Nightmare. I know, right? Charlie says, can't wait to chant Darren Moore's Barmy Army at York away. It's going to be the case.
Can you imagine Stockdale talking to the lads going, what happened?
Yeah.
Blade Runner says, Big Sean Dyche. No, he's going to stay at Everton, isn't he?
Yeah, of course he will.
What are our theories on what's going on behind the scenes? I think there's been panic stations. Personally, I think there has been panic stations. I think Jake's momentum is that there's been a plan in place, and Jack thinks there's going to be a flip chart with a Disney plan, roadmap.
Plan.
Yeah,
same. Yeah.
I think there's been panic stations, but that's possibly led into a plan. Yeah. I'll do the negative thing because that's worked out really well for us this season. Whenever I've been negative and like one of you has been positive, it's gone really well.
Yeah.
When we're all agreeing, something usually bad's about to happen.
And Martin Dean asking, but would Chancery allow a manager to build a structure? Yes. He let Darren Moore build a structure. That's what he's been doing in League One. Even though the staff have gone. That's literally what Darren Moore was doing with this whole turning the culture around at the club that they've been talking about. That's literally what he did. So he's already allowed Darren Moore to build a structure and stuff, you know?
So I'd just like to say to end today.
Can I just mention something?
I just want to say this first. Are you going to talk about... I'll tell you what, go first. Of course you can.
Darren Moore said he wouldn't leave the club in a worse state than when he took it over, and he had done that. He's left it in a better state.
He has. That's true. And that's what I was going to say. Can we all go around and say one thing that we'd like to say about Darren Moore? Jack?
Very, very personal touch on my part, but he basically made me fall in love with Wednesday again. I thought when sorry to talk about it again, but when my dad wasn't around anymore, I didn't see the point in following Wednesday other than on not Talksport, other than like BBC Sport, just to see the result, and that's it. But Darren Moore and his whole team and the way that he's rebuilt the club again has made me fall in love with Wednesday again and football again. And now I can't get enough of it. And like, that's such a special thing to me in my eyes, that someone that he has been able to do that. And like, I'll be forever thankful to him for that, because I was in a state like before Darren Moore came in where I was just thinking, what's the point in this? There's like, I don't care anymore about watching football because my whole reason for watching Wednesday's gone. But now, because of him, I feel like I can watch Wednesday again on my own terms. And that's thanks to him and what he's done with the club. So that's my thanks to Darren Moore, I guess.
And you got that the comeback. Yeah. Jake?
I think he came and got fans who probably were out of loving the club again, a little bit like Jack, but he got people believing again. People believed in the club. The comeback had everyone talking about us again. And I think for you guys, it's like, I don't think we've been talked about that since the 90s. And this is the first time it's probably been done in a positive way as well. And I think Darren Moore has left a legacy that will always be remembered as the man who led us from the brink of going out of the playoffs to then take us to Wembley and win it. And I say thank you for that. And wherever you go next, I hope you achieve the same thing, because you finally got that nearly man tag off your back. And for being one of the nicest men in football, you 100% deserve it.
Darren Moore, for me, made me really believe that there was a togetherness again at this club. And he brought a club that was broken in my eyes and that I was covering for this channel and following week on week and feeling like it had no hope, feeling like there was nothing that was going to build back up, and somebody that came in with the right attitude and got people on side, got the players on side, and built a squad that weren't pulling up any trees. Don't get me wrong. They weren't like the best squad I've ever seen Wednesday play, but they were a squad that I will always, Darren Moore and that group of players, I will always have a spot in my heart for as a Wednesday fan, because I will probably say it's probably my best time as a Wednesday fan because of the results. Because I know it was a league lower than when we did the championship stuff with Carlos, but we did it, and we had those memories, and it wasn't a case of utter disappointment at the end of the road like those 2 seasons with Carlos were. As much as Carlos is probably my second favorite manager, it's probably Darren Moore. You know, I know that's so weird, but like Darren Moore, because of the way it happened this season, and yes, it's fresh, and yes, that may change, but I only think that's going to get stronger with time. He brought togetherness back to the club, and he brought its identity back, and I will always be grateful for that. And just to sign off this episode, the first ever episode of the Talking Wednesday podcast was called "Who Will Be the Next Sheffield Wednesday Manager?" That next Sheffield Wednesday manager was Darren Moore. And now Darren Moore's time at Sheffield Wednesday has come to an end. Thank you all for joining us tonight. I hope you all don't get too caught up in this, but I'm sure we will. Let's see what happens as it develops over the coming days. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and we will see you in the next episode of Talking Wednesday.
See ya.
See you later.